Hello friends, this is Loli. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video, it is jam-packed with amazing creations, things that are new to me. It is a challenge or a collaboration. It's hosted by Kiki from Kiki's DIYs, by Tami from Happiness Created, and by Tammie from the Rusted Willow. I hope you enjoy this collaboration and you enjoy the video. Let's jump right into it. DIY number 1. I'll be using these straws that I got during Easter at the Dollar Tree, these gem rocks from the Dollar Tree as well, and these bath salts from the Dollar Tree. The first thing that I did was take my hot glue gun, and I'm going to take one of these straws and I'm going to coat it with hot glue. Tip number 1, open your bag before you do this. As you can see, I did not do that, but it still worked. Anyway, so just, continue to coat the stick with or the straw and keep adding the gemstones on top of it. In the beginning, I found it easier to dip it into the bag, but as I got more stones on this stick, then I started doing it from the outside. But just make sure gravity, so just keep your stick down or your straw down while you add in the glue and hold it in place for a little while until the glue sets so your stones don't go falling off. And be safer than me, put on your little finger protectors while you're doing this. If you haven't been able to tell by now, these are Pop Rocks popsicles. Friends, if you're enjoying the video so far, please don't forget to leave me a thumbs up. Towards the end here, I'm just looking for places that are scars, and I'm just adding hot glue to those areas and piling on the stones and just letting it sit until everything is set on there. And then I just removing the little straggly pieces of hot glue so it looks more natural. And don't forget the tip. Just make sure that you cover that up as well with a nice gemstone. And there you see it all finished. Now it's time to make another. We will be using these bath salts from the Dollar Tree. And I picked a pink straw for this one. Here I followed the same method that I used for the green one, but this one, the bath salts, has little hearts on them inside of this. And I didn't know that, but I love the fact that it did because I will be using these throughout my DIYs. So I did pretty much the same thing. I did get some of the hearts attached to this one, but I like the look it had, so I just kept on piling on the gemstones, or the bath salts in this case, on the stick. I do have to tell you, it was harder to get the stones to stick here. I don't know if it was maybe a chemical reaction from the glue and the salt that comes from these, but it was harder for this to stick to my straw there. So I just had to really pile it on and leave it on there for a while, hold it in place tightly in order to make sure that that remained attached to my straw. I made a total of 3 of these Pop Rock popsicle sticks. They turned out amazing. They look so good that my son wanted to eat them. And here they are, all completed. I love them so much. I hope you love them too. And here we go with DIY number 2. For this project, I'll be using this Play-Doh. It's actually modeling clay from the Dollar Tree. And the first thing that I did was condition it by just, rubbing it with my fingers. And then I'm going to be using them to form little cherries. Once I condition the clay, I just rub the clay between my hands to make it round. And then I use my finger to indent one of the sides. And then I just keep forming it with my fingers all around, trying to make it resemble a cherry as best as I could. And this is how it looks so far. I made a total of 3 of them. Now I'm going to use the skewer to open a tiny little hole at the center because I'm trying to also make some stems for these using the clay. Let me let you know right now that this did not work. So do not use the skewer to open the hole because we're gonna go with plan B, which is here. I took some of my floral wire I am using it to form the stems instead. So I made a tiny little loop around one of the ends. I used my pliers there to, bring them close together so it resembles one piece instead of seeing an opening. I bend it to resemble the shape of a cherry stem, and there you see it. I repeated that with 3 of them. But first, I'm going to go ahead and paint my cherries. So I used some of that red apple paint for apple barrel and a drop of black and painted the cherry with that mixture. Then I took this green paint from Folk Art and I'm going to paint my stems using that, but I'm going to try to make it a little bit darker, so I used some of that brown paint to do so. And I just took a little bit of each of the paints, trying to mix it until I got to the shade of green that I was going for. Once I achieved my desired color, I painted the little wire stems with that. And then I placed them onto the little cherries. I just pushed it right into the dough. After they were dry, I took some Mod Podge gloss, finished Mod Podge, and coated all 3 of my cherries with it and left them to dry. You will see how they turned out in the next DIY. DIY number 3. For this project, I'm using one of these glass from the Dollar Tree, and I'm using this apple barrel paint in the color Melted Chocolate and my black, and this little container that I got from the Dollar Tree. I'm mixing some black and some brown to achieve a hot fudge color. I took the mixture and I added it in different spots inside of the glass. I have to tell you, try to make this a little bit runnier. Mine was a little bit too thick, so I had a hard time with it drizzling down my cup. So I had to give it a little bit of help. I took a very tiny paintbrush and I just tried to bring the streaks all the way down. I wanted it to resemble hot fudge going down on a chocolate shake. So now we're gonna make that chocolate shake. I took some of this white barrel acrylic paint and I'm adding it to another of my little cups there, or dispensers from the Dollar Tree. I'm adding some of that melted chocolate syrup to it as well. I am trying to achieve the look of chocolate milkshake. I just kept adding the brown paint until I reached the desired look. Another tip, remember, everything will dry darker than it is when it's wet. As usual, I couldn't wait for the paint to dry, so I used my little heat gun. Just be very careful, the glass does get very hot and you will see some smoke, but just be very careful. Once the fudge dry, I am coating the inside of the cup with the mixture that I previously made, resembling chocolate milkshake. And again, I am using my heat gun to dry things up a little bit quick. And here it is how it turned out. I did go in with my brush and try to blend the colors together. Once everything dried, I am adding some paper towel to my cup to use as a filler. I just didn't want to use, different balls and waste things, so I did that. And then I added some hot glue to one of these foam balls I got from the Dollar Tree and placed it on top of the paper towel. Then I took more paper towel and put it in between the ball and the glass just to finish filling out that gap and avoid any product being wasted on the next step. And here is how it looks so far. Now it's time to prep for the whipped cream. I took some lightweight spackle from the Dollar Tree and some apple barrel white paint, and I'm going to just mix it all together until I get the consistency of whipped cream. Mine turned out a little runny, so just put it to the side for a little while. Then I took some of these piping bags from the Dollar Tree and removed this nozzle and replaced it with the one that looks like a star. I filled up my piping bag with the mixture, and I found that the easier way to do this was to put my bag inside out like this, open it up as big as I could, and then add my mixture into the bag that way. Then I made sure that there was no air bubbles in the mixture inside the piping bag in order to avoid any issues. Then I started from the rim of the glass and keeps going in circles with the cup, moving the cup in circles while I apply the whipped cream, if you will, onto my chocolate milkshake. Then I took one of these straws that I used for the previous DIY, and I pretty much just drilled it into the foam and cut a piece off to resemble the straw being all the way in. Then I'm coming in with these hearts that I used in the beginning as well. These came from the bath salt, and I thought they were the perfect embellishment for this DIY. And I just added them all around, trying to match different colors. And then I used my heat gun to try to speed up the process, so I'm able to add my hot fudge. So now I'm using that mixture that I made before as well to add to the top of my milkshake here to resemble some fudge drizzle. And here it is, but something is missing. Hey, what it is? The cherry. There comes the cherry I made with a previous DIY. It came out pretty nicely. I just added a little dab of hot glue on top of it and placed it right on top. And here it is, all completed. I love this one, guys. It's so realistic. My daughter was mad because it wasn't real. So I hope you guys enjoyed this DIY, and we are going to jump over to our fourth DIY. DIY number 4. For this project, I used one of these cups from the Dollar Tree. I got them on clearance. I assembled it, and then I'm going to go ahead and try to create some ice cream. I took some of my lightweight spackle, added to a container that was empty, and I'm going to take this antique parchment paint from Apple Barrel, and I'm going to add it to the spackle and mix it well together. And here is how it looks so far. Now I'm going to go ahead and paint my container. I painted this one on the outside. I wish I would have done it on the inside, but I did the inside for another cup I used later on. I just gave it 2 full coats of paint and let it dry. I used my Rust-Oleum linen white paint as usual. You know already that I am very impatient, so while that dried, I'm going to be working with the inside part of the cup. So I'm going to go ahead and try to create my ice cream scoops. Guys, if you see right there, that was a total fail. It looked more to me like soft served. So hey, why fight it, right? I put the rest in and tried to form it. Let's just say that it didn't turn out the way I thought. So I removed my spackle mixture of the container, and I'm going to fill it up with some paper towel. I did that because I didn't like the height that my ice cream ended up on, so I just want this to be a little bit higher, and I do not want to use any more spackle. Then I took some of that antique parchment paint and I added it onto the paper towel. I just wanted to make sure that it blended together with the mixture with the spackle. I then took the spackle and mixed it up a little bit more, and I'm going to be scooping it right into the top of the paper towel there, making sure that everything is nice and blended and everything matched perfectly. And I'm going to try my second hand at trying to form this onto a nice pile of soft serve ice cream. This looked delicious. I wanted to lick my finger. Now I'm trying to make it look swirly, and I'm trying to give it some height, but I wasn't achieving it, so I'm going to remove the middle section of the spackle from the middle there, and I'm going to be adding the ball right there to give me some length, some height. And I'm going to try one more time to form it the way that I have it pictured in my head. Guys, as I mentioned before, this is a collaboration, so the link to the host and the co-host along with the playlist will be in the description box below. Don't forget to visit my friends. Let them know that Loli said hi. Here you see me in the struggle bus trying to, form this the way I have it, pictured in my mind, until finally I got to something that kind of achieved what I wanted. So I'm going to go ahead and add in some whipped cream. I just did the same thing that I did before, but added a little bit of white to my mixture, and I'm going to be add in the little swirl that will give it more that look that I was going for. Then with my heat gun, I took it to it, just, very carefully heating it up, trying to avoid the plastic. Then I took some of this melted chocolate and I drizzled it on top of the entire thing, making sure not to ruin my whipped cream. There was an area that drizzled down to the cup, but I loved the way it looked, so I kept it the way it was. Once again, I heated it up a little bit. Please be careful with that plastic. And I'm going to use those same little hearts that I got from the sea salt or the bath salt packet onto this, because it just gives everything such a beautiful look. And you think I'm done, right? I'm not done yet. I used my heat gun to speed up the drying process, took some Mod Podge, and I'm going to add it to the entire thing, just avoiding the hearts. This just gives it a finish of, a glistening finish, and it makes it look more realistic. And here it is, all finished. I love it. Let me know what you guys think. Does it look delicious or what? If I made you hungry, leave me a thumbs up. DIY number 5. For this project, I used some of these cupcake cups, or I don't know how you call them, from the Dollar Tree. And I took out 3. The idea was to create 3 different cupcakes in different flavors, but then I ended up going a different route. Wait and see what I came up with. I tried different ways of placing this, using the whole ball or just half a ball as a base and working off of that. You see me there, the wheels are turning and trying to figure out exactly what I'm going to do. And I decided I was going to come up with some kind of sherbet-like thing. So I took this orange cream apple barrel paint and I'm going to add it to this one, which is a complete ball. And I'm adding some water, some apple barrel white paint as well. If you have not noticed yet, I am going for a orange creamsicle look here. What I did is I kept adding some of that orange cream paint and then adding some water in other places, blending it in different levels, trying to create that look that you get when you get an orange creamsicle ice cream. I did it to the entire bowl because I was not sure exactly what container I was going to use for these. For now, I just left it on the little cupcake liners. Here, there's no wrong way to do it. Just add some white in some places and try to make it as ununiform as possible, because that's the way that ice cream looks. Then I decided to do something with the half over here, and I used this Concord grape apple barrel paint, and I'm going to add it to this entire thing. I'm going to use the same exact technique I used for the creamsicle one, because I'm trying to create an blueberries and cream look for this one. Once again, just blending both colors together, just leaving some streaks that are darker than others, adding some white in others to bring in the cream as well, and trying to get the color as best matched to blueberry ice cream as I can. Friends, if you're enjoying this, please don't forget to subscribe. All right, so here I was done with it, just leaving it to dry. Now I'm coming in with this blue. It's called, I believe, True Blue from Apple Barrel, and I'm going to add it to the other half of the foam that I have cut previously. And here I'm trying to go for a blue raspberry look. For this one, I did not add in the white. I added in instead this one that is like a white with silver sparkle, just to give it that icy look. And I just added in the same mold that I added the white on the other 2 sherbets. I'm gonna go ahead and put that aside to dry. But I noticed a little spot that was not covered. I want to make sure this was nice and uniform, so I'm just touching up that area before I put it to dry. So for these, I decided to use these tiny cups, so I'm going to give them all 2 coats of my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. I'm just going to paint the inside of them and let them dry fully. Once it was dried, I was trying to figure out exactly what level I wanted to add these. I decided to add this as it was, right on there. And for the second one, since I cut it in half, it was going too low into the container. So I added a little bit of foam, and I'm trying to figure out exactly the length or the height I want to put it on. So I just kept using different techniques. When I was happy, I just added a bit of hot glue onto my foam piece and glued it into the container as well. And once the foam was secured in there, it's time to add the foam ball as well. So I just took some more hot glue and glued the piece in. Then I'm moving on to the second or third one actually. I took a piece of the green foam from the Dollar Tree instead and glued in the blue half ball into that container as well. Then I came in with this blue faux snow from the Dollar Tree, and I added some hot glue to the edges of my sherbet, the blue sherbet, and I'm adding on the blue snow to it to resemble some shade ice. I remove all the excess to avoid any fallout later on. Added a bit of Mod Podge to give it that finished look and also to preserve it, and that's done. Then I moved on to my blueberry and cream one, and I've used these foam balls that I got from the Dollar Tree. They resemble Dippin' Dots to me, and I thought it was perfect for this. So I just added hot glue to the edges of the space between the foam ball and the container and added the Dippin' Dots right into that space, and this made it perfect. I love the way that the colors play together and it looks just like Dippin' Dots. I removed the excess of these little foam thingies off, made sure that there was no areas where there was scanty, and we are done. Here is the trio completed. I love this, guys. It looks so realistic. I don't know which one is my favorite so far. Let me know which one is yours. DIY number 6. For this project, I'm using these balls from the Dollar Tree, and I will be using some lightweight spackle as well from the Dollar Tree, and I just added some onto 2 of my little sections on here. I'm going to create mixtures for these. For one, I will be using this pink, cameo pink from Apple Barrel. This is going to be used as frosting for my ball. I am trying to achieve a strawberry ice cream look. I took my foam ball and I'm going to add this pink color onto one side. I will say 1/3 of this ball. I just made sure to keep my lines nice and clean, and I'm going to be painting only that 1/3 section using this mixture. And here you see that section completed. Now I'm doing the same process, but I'm using my antique parchment paint instead to create the mixture. I added a bit more of the, lightweight spackle to this mixture. So I did the same thing, but I'm going to be adding this to the middle part, 2/3 of this ball, if that makes any sense. Towards the middle and leaving a 1/3 unpainted. So what I did was try to keep my lines clean again and went all the way around, trying to keep everything straight. And I'm going to move on to another part. I'm using more of the lightweight spackle. I'm using my melted chocolate paint from Apple Barrel. That turned out a little bit lighter than I expected, so I added a little bit more brown to it. And I'm going to be using this mixture to paint the final 1/3 part of this foam board. Once again, I try to keep my lines nice and clean. I am adding to the edge of the ball, getting very close to that antique parchment layer, making sure that I do not go over to it. And I keep everything nice and blended as well, so it doesn't have any harsh lines. And here it is so far. Have you guessed it yet? I am going to be adding now some of the Mod Podge to it to give it again that glistening look, and I'm putting it to dry. Then here, I pre-painted this cup also, and I'm going to go ahead and put it right in there. Here I'm making sure that everything is dry as it is, making sure everything is neat, and I'm going to be adding that into here. I will be just adding some hot glue to the bottom of my container and place it right onto there. I just made sure everything was nice and straight, and now I'm going to be adding some chocolate drizzle to my Neapolitan. And this, guys, you see it is very sped up. I actually took my time with this. It was hard for the paint to come out in streaks like this, so I just tried to stretch it as best as I could and went very slowly trying to put the lines on there so it will be nice and symmetrical and continuous. I could have also diluted the paint a bit, but I really wanted that texture of chocolate that's nice and thick to be on here as well. Once I was done with that, I took some more of those hearts that I got from the previous package of the bath salts, and I'm going to be adding to this some like sprinkled beads as well. I don't know if you've seen some cupcakes that come with like sugar made pearls, so I added some to this, trying to achieve that look. This was looking a little bit too bare for my liking, so I came in with some more of those little hearts that I got from the bath salts, and I'm going to add them to the top of my Neapolitan sundae. And I'm not done yet. I'm going to come in with more of the hearts, but I also like the beads a lot, so I'm going to add some more beads to the whole thing. I love the little touch that gives it, so I just added in places where there were no hearts, and just to embellish it and just give it a little bit that extra oomph to it. DIY number 7. For this one, I will be using this cup from the Dollar Tree and some apple red paint from Apple Barrel. I'm going to add the paint to my fan brush tip, and I'm going to fling it into the cup. I'm just creating a speckle look to resemble the tiny little pieces of strawberry you see in a strawberry milkshake. And there is the look that I achieved. I repeated the same process but using some light brown paint instead to resemble the little seeds that you see on the shake. It is all about the details. Once I was satisfied with the look, I used my heat gun, dried up all the little specks, and I'm going to move on with creating my milkshake. I'm going to use some of this cameo pink from Apple Barrel, and I'm going to add it in the inside of the cup. And I'm going to use a brush to just coat the entire inside of my cup. Here's what I ended up with. Then I filled it up with some paper towels, and then I'm adding my foam board to the inside and gluing it in with some hot glue. Then I'm putting some hot glue around the rim just to make sure that that foam board stays, or that foam ball stays in place for my next part. So now I'm taking some of my lightweight spackle, adding some Apple Barrel white paint to it, mixing it really well, and getting it ready for the next step. Once it was blended until the consistency that I wanted, I put it into a piping bag, and I'm adding it onto my strawberry milkshake. I'm just doing the same thing that like I did with the previous one, and here's how it completed. Then I'm going to add this melted chocolate paint as my chocolate drizzle on top of my shake. and I just did it, you know, not as uniform as I've done it before, but it's okay. You know, it's nice and, you know, not every Sunday is perfect. So this is what I achieved. It does look delicious though. Then I added some of these hearts as well, just to bring it all together. And this is how I'm looking so far, and my cherry on top. Now it's time to add the straw. I picked one of these pepper straws from the Dollar Tree. I cut it in half and just added it right there on the side. Cut off any excess that I had. Make sure everything was nice and cohesive, and there it is, all finished. This one, guys, is my favorite, maybe because I love strawberry milkshakes, but yes, it is pretty cool. Let me know how you like it. Here it is. Now on to DIY number 8. For this one, I used one of the foam balls from the Dollar Tree. I painted it just in case it showed through. And I'm going to make a mixture of my lightweight spackle with some white paint. But then I changed my mind and I added some of the cameo pink. I wanted to achieve a more delicate pink tone. So I added just a little bit, mixed it pretty well. And then it was still a little too light, so I added a little bit more of it, mixed it properly until I was happy with the result. I added it onto a piping bag, and it's time to get it on my cupcake. I went over and I went as low as I could so you wouldn't see that paint underneath, and I just kept turning it in circles and adding it nice and slow until I had the whole thing covered, and then make sure that I had a nice little peak, and this is how it ended up. Now I'm gonna come in with some more of these hearts that I got from the bath salts, and I'm going to add it all over the frosting before it dries so it will help with the adhesion. And I'm adding some of these pearls because they're just so cute. So I'm going to just put them in, but they were not just falling onto it easily, guys. It was just bouncing off. So I had to hold them very carefully and push them into the frosting, if you will, and just, you know, add them in all the little places that I thought they will be looking cute. I added some more of the hearts, and here it is all completed. I really, really love this one. I love how delicate it is. And it's just wonderful. Let me know, guys, which one is your favorite from all of these. I had so much fun making these. Thank you so much as always for watching. Be blessed, be a blessing, and craft responsibly. Here are my social media links if you would like to follow me on those. And guys, don't forget to stop by and visit my friends on the playlist. And thank you so much as always. Have an amazing day. And here are some bloopers. I had to share these. It is hosted by Kiki from Kiki's DIYs. Let's jump into it.